Hey guys, Master Thinking here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are doing the team building guide for the AGL Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta that transforms into Blue Evolution. This is out on both versions of the game at the same time, so this will be a guide for both JP and Global. There are a couple of units that I do want to mention that are JP only at the moment, but don't worry, if you are a global player, there will still be all the information you need in order to beat the event on global. So, it is a typical 30-stage EZA. You only fight against the AGL Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta. It's the SSR up to stage 15, and then it becomes the TUR. Interestingly enough, he never changes to being Super Saiyan Blue Evolution, which I kind of find surprising. But yeah, typical 30-stage EZA. So by beating all of the stages, you get all the medals to EZA him. You get a bunch of AGL orbs, and then you get 11 Kais, 30 stones for doing the stages, and then there are missions as well. So you can end up getting 34 stones in total. As you can see here, and from the display at the top on the wiki, the weakness is Mastered Evolution. So this is an interesting category. It does only have technically one leader, but there are a lot of ways within the team itself to build a full team under technically a different leader skill or a different category, but still make the full team Mastered Evolution. So obviously that's what we will be going over. So as always with my team building guides, I talk about my top picks and my honorable mentions. If there's any units that you think I missed out or that I should have talked more about, then let me know down below in the comments section. And of course, if you do find this guide helpful at all, do hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and let's go ahead and jump straight in. So obviously starting us off, we have the Str Super Vegeta. It's a little bit disappointing that he did not return on the Majin Vegeta banner, because I honestly thought that he might, because we did know that this was the weakness for the EZA before the banner came out. So I thought they maybe would put him on there as a way to try and encourage people to summon, because then if you didn't have him, you could potentially pull him from the banner and then have a bit of an easier time with the EZA. So because he is the full just Mastered Evolution category leader, it means you can build the team any way you want, bring any of the units that are on the category, and they're obviously still going to function under that leader skill. He is also a pure Saiyans lead, so there is obviously a wealth of units you could bring who are not on Mastered Evolution, but would still be good. Units like Str Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta, who's a ridiculously good tank in short form events. He's probably still going to take some damage towards the later stages from super attacks, because he does have type disadvantage and he's not on the category. But if you're really hurting for choices for the team, you can slot in some pure Saiyans if you use this guy's leader skill. Now, one thing to bear in mind that I forgot to mention at the start, once you get to stage 13, AGL and INT units will be doing 80% less damage. So you want to focus on STR, tech, and physical units when it comes to building your team. Now, I thought I'd mention that first, because obviously one of the other units that I want to talk about is the Gods, the LR Gods from JP. JP exclusive, of course. They're the anniversary unit. Now, their leader skill is beyond Super Saiyan. So because this features a various selection of like Super Saiyan 2, Super Saiyan 3, loads of those characters are on Mastered Evolution. Including, of course, the LR Gods themselves. So you can very easily make a full Mastered Evolution team that is under the Beyond Super Saiyan leader skill. So this team's going to be very, very good. Movie Heroes has some decent tech units as well if you want to cross over some other characters. But these guys will be really, really good as a leader if you are a JP player. Now, the next one that I wanted to talk about that I think is very interesting, and this goes back to what I was saying about the AGL and INT units, is obviously we have the release of the Majin Vegeta. If you pulled this new Majin Vegeta, he is not on Mastered Evolution, but because he is a Vegeta family lead with the 30% extra to Gifted Warriors, there are a lot of Vegetas. In fact, almost every Vegeta is on both of these categories, right? So you could easily just run him as the leader and then bring a bunch of the other Vegetas who are Mastered Evolution units, and they will all be on this 200% leader skill. So even though Majin Vegeta himself isn't on the lead, you're then able to run a 200% team, so the other units are all going to be doing a lot more damage and being good defensively. And of course, if you bring a Trunks, because there are Trunkses on Mastered Evolution as well, then Vegeta gets his intro animation, which I would recommend turning off, because you don't really want to see that 30 odd times in a row while you're going through an easy A. Maybe the first time, but you know. And then, yeah, he's going to be able to have a lot of damage reduction, so even though he's not on the category, he's still going to be okay defensively. Just bear in mind, he's not going to do any damage because he's going to have the 80% damage reduction. But that will allow you to run the 200% team. And honestly, that's probably what I'll do. That'll probably be the easiest way to do the Easy A. So next up, we have the Tech Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta. Perfect example of a unit that you could bring on that 200% team. But he is a leader for Super Saiyan 2 and Resurrected Warriors. So you are able to make a full Mastered Evolution team out of these categories. And there's a couple of units we'll talk about later that are on Resurrected Warriors that would be good for this, who don't really fit into any sort of other team build unless you're running a Mastered Evolution lead, the Str Super Vegeta. But yeah, you can definitely make a full team out of this leader skill. He has type advantage. He links really well with the Majin Vegeta if you do want to run that build. So he is a really, really good option. And then, of course, we have the Easy A Super Saiyan 3 Angel Goku. If you really are hard up for choices, he is a Super Tech types lead 3 key, HP attack and defense 130. So you could bring him and just bring a full tech team. Obviously, if you're on JP, he's on Beyond Super Saiyan, so you could make a full tech team out of this guy that are also on Beyond Super Saiyan, and then bring an LR God's friend, and then that would obviously make things a lot easier. Post Easy A, he is still very good anyway, so he will be good in this Easy A regardless of what leader skill you are running, so he is another very solid option. Next up, we have AGL LR Gohan. He's another unit that you could consider as a stand-in leader because he's the Kamehameha leader. A lot of Gokus are on Kamehameha and Mastered Evolution at the same time, so you could make a Kamehameha team that is mostly Mastered Evolution. I mean, Gohan is on it as well, but just remember he's an AGL unit, so he's not going to be doing a lot of damage. But after supering, he is still a good defensive unit, so he's not going to be a bad option for the team if you need a final slot filler or you need to use him as a leader. Just bear in mind, again, he's not going to do a lot of damage, which is a little bit unfortunate. But next up, we have this guy right here, the Super Saiyan God Vegeta, Super Saiyan God Super Saiyan Vegeta, sorry, the Blue Vegeta. Worthy Rivals lead, so technically if you really were hard up for leaders, you could use him to make a team of Vegetas, although any number of those probably have a better like Vegeta family lead or something like that. But he can be very useful because he creates a lot of tech orbs, which can give you a lot of free healing, which is good in an Easy A because you can't use items. He builds up over time. He is a nuker, so you can get those bad turns where you don't get a lot of orbs and then he's not going to look particularly good. But he does infinitely stack attack and defense, even though it's quite slow. So you can see improvement over time. Easy A's are obviously a bit shorter than other events though, so he's never really going to get a lot of opportunity to build up to crazy numbers. But he still is going to be pretty good overall, and that free healing is definitely something that can come in very, very handy. Next up, we have the Tech Blue Goku. So he's a unit that obviously you want to really run him on a full tech team, but as we've already discussed, there are a couple of ways you can make a full tech team, especially if you're on JP and you're running the Beyond Super Saiyan team with the LR Gods. So he can be really good. He creates tech orbs, he has built-in chance to crit, as well as providing it to allies if you have that full tech turn. Doesn't have to be a full tech team, but you just have to make sure that the person he's on rotation with and all of your floating units are tech, and then you can get the full benefit out of this guy. But he can be a pretty decent option as well. Next up, we have the Transforming Frieza. Now, these are the units that I mentioned before, right? We have Transforming Frieza, and we have the Golden Frieza. They are on Mastered Evolution, but obviously they're not on any of these like other Saiyan teams or anything. So you can run them under the Super Vegeta leader skill, and then this rotation of the two of them together is actually going to be really, really good, because this guy obviously is just going to tank everything in slot 1, and then this guy attacks, gets more defense on Super, transforms up as you go through the turns, gets extra key and attack and all this kind of stuff when you're fighting a super class enemy, which we are. heals you, like, he just does a lot. So if you can fit them onto your team build, depending on which, like, leader skill you are using, you can run these two guys together as a rotation. They are on Resurrected Warriors, so as I said, you can run the tech Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta that transforms into Majin Vegeta, run a full Super Saiyan 2 or Resurrected Warriors team, and then you would be able to run these guys as a rotation on that team build, and they would be very, very good for this event because of the type advantage and just everything else that they offer. So very, very good rotation choice. Next up we have, for JP only of course, a physical option, the Super Saiyan 2 Goku. I know a lot of global players are salivating over the thought of getting this guy when he drops, which on global, I'm going to do a video talking about the exact time frame, but on global this probably comes out in the next like week or two. So this guy, very, very good. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can make a full Mastered Evolution team out of his leader skill, Battle of Fate or Accelerated Battle. And then, yeah, he's on a lot of the teams we've mentioned already. He's on Super Saiyan 2. He's on Beyond Super Saiyan. He's on Mastered Evolution, obviously. And so he's just really, really good. Very, very powerful, even in Super Saiyan 2. Has built-in chance to additional with built-in chance to crit. Really good stats. Raises attack and defense on one turn on Super. And then, of course, if you get to turn 3 and you're at 77% HP or less, which can be quite easy in an easy A, especially in the later stages, because you can start to take a bit of damage, you can't heal, then you can transform up to Super Saiyan 3, and then, I mean, when he's at Super Saiyan 3, those of you who have him or have seen the videos of him, like, this is why he's considered one of the best TURs, if not the best TUR in the game on JP, because, yeah, he can super attack, like, 4 times with, like, 8 million attack stat at Rainbow Full Level 10 links, so he's just ridiculously powerful. So JP only option at this point, unfortunately, at least at the time of the release, but very, very powerful option for the team. Next up, we have this physical god. I keep saying god because it's in the name. The physical blue Goku, who's the counterpart to the tech one, Tech Vegeta. He is, again, an orb changer, a nuker, can give you a bunch of extra healing. Not as good as the Vegeta because he doesn't have type advantage, so if he takes a super in the later phases, then obviously he could potentially still take quite a bit of damage. But he is going to be a very solid option on the team as well. That orb changing and the free healing is definitely very, very useful. So he can be very, very good as well. Next up, we have the physical Super Saiyan 3 Gotenks. I recently showcased him on the 200% team. He's still pretty solid. For the first few turns, he has that 30% chance to dodge, as well as a bit of extra attack and defense. So short events like Easy A's are events that he works really well in. You can quite easily get that good RNG and dodge like a super attack with him and stuff like that. And then if you can get his 11 key super, he does do a lot of damage as well as being effective against all types. So very, very good for any typing enemy. So he definitely can be a solid option for the team if you need that final slot filled. Next up, we have this physical Super Saiyan 2 Goku. There's the AGL one as well, but I picked the physical one because he's the one that I will often run on other teams outside of the Super Saiyan 2 team, because he gives key and defense to all allies and then only gives Super Saiyan 2 allies an attack buff, and then he stacks defense on Super, whereas the AGL one stacks attack. So this guy is better defensively himself, as well as providing defense to all the allies on the team, even if they're not Super Saiyan 2s. So he can be a good choice for a support unit. Next up, we have the Super Trunks. We got the physical one and the STR one with their Easy A's. I believe the physical one, I think the STR one actually is the best one for short events, right? Because he starts off with 200% defense, because he gets an extra 10%, 100% for 10 turns. And then he gets 50% attack and defense up to 100% at the start of each turn. So he gets that extra buff. Whereas the physical one just straight up is 200% all the time. So he's better in longer form events. Whereas this guy starts off already slightly higher. Gets a little bit of an extra buff for the first like few turns, and then it wears off. But I mean, in a short event, they're both pretty much as good as each other, right? You're not going to be going for 10 turns in an Easy A. So either of these guys will be good. Obviously, the physical one is probably more beneficial because he doesn't have type disadvantage. But both of them are still able to do decent damage because they're not int or AGL. Of course, again, the STR one's probably going to have to actually crit to do good damage. So the physical one is the better choice. And as I mentioned at the beginning, like, this is the Trunks that will be on Mastered Evolution for if you want to run the Majin Vegeta lead and run a full 200% team. So, Super Trunks, a good choice. And then last but not least, as an honourable mention, we have Toppo, just as a support unit. All allies 1 key, attack and defense 40%. He gets damage reduction if you're at 70% or less HP. He's not going to link super well with the team. I mean, he has Fierce Battle, and then depending on who you're running, he's got Godly Power, Shocking Speed. Not going to link up super well. He's just kind of an honourable mention, again, as like a last slot on the team filler if you are lacking in options, but you want to bring another unit to help support everybody else. So those are my top picks and honourable mentions. It is very odd to me that the LR Gods are on here, which are obviously, they're supposed to be the unit from the Broly movie. And yet Tech God Goku, who is also from the Broly movie because of his super attack and being on Movie Heroes, is not on here. And he would be super good because he is... I mean, technically, actually, we should just mention him as an honourable mention anyway, right? Because he is going to have that ridiculous damage reduction against a Pure Saiyan. So even though he's not on Mastered Evolution, if you can bring him on any of your team builds on JP, because obviously he doesn't have his EZA on Global, he's still going to be very good. On Global, he only has the damage reduction against movie bosses, so he's not going to be a viable option. And then, of course, I always forget, someone will mention in the comments, I'm sure, who didn't get this far in the video, Tech Caulifla, even if she's not under the leader skill of whoever you're running, is going to have a 100% chance to dodge against this Vegeta as well. So if you need another slot filled on the team, or you're finding the later stages a bit more difficult, you can bring her on the team and she guaranteed dodges all of his attacks. So you can just put her in whichever slot has the most attacks every time she's on rotation. So there you go. Those are the top picks and honourable mentions. Let me know down below, like I said, any units that you think I missed out or that I should have talked more about. And let us know what your team build is going to look like for this event down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.